Ruidoso Downs Racetrack and Casino kicks off their Summer Meet Memorial Day weekend and will continue with live racing every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday through Labor Day. Don't miss your chance to watch and wager on the stakes trials this weekend with the first leg of the Quarter Horse Triple Crown, the Grade 1 Ruidoso Futurity, and Ruidoso Derby. Bet with your favorite ADW and get free PPs at raceruidoso.com. Experience the excitement of thoroughbred and quarter horse racing from the mountains of New Mexico at Ruidoso Downs. Guaranteed excitement, you bet.
Well, if it's Memorial Day weekend, that means it's time to go to Ruidoso. The time trials for the Ruidoso Futurity are on opening day on Friday and again on Saturday. The first 10 runners of each of those programs go towards the final on June 6th. And, of course, on this coming Sunday, there are 11 divisions of the trials for the Ruidoso Derby, and the top 10 times over the course of the afternoon will advance to the final on June 7th. And that's the focus of our conversation here right now. This is Steve Andersen with Daily Racing Form. We look forward to the Ruidoso Derby trials on Sunday. They're 400-yard races. First post time is 1 o'clock Mountain. That's 3 o'clock Eastern and high noon Pacific. So each race is really loaded. There's 5 runners over the course of the 11-race program that ran in the All-American Futurity last year, including runner-up Determined One. Mr. Jess Jenkins, who won the All-American Futurity, is not part of these trials. He's expected to run at Ruidoso later this summer, as is Fernwa, the winner of the Ruidoso Futurity in 2019. She won the Remington Park, Oklahoma-bred Derby on April 18th in very nice style. And speaking with owner Rusty Allred earlier this week, he mentioned that she will be racing at Ruidoso later this year in the All-American Oaks, perhaps. It's a new race for 3-year-old fillies that was launched this year. Hey, let's go through the 11-race program real quick. For Ruidoso. There's a fascinating list of races here, full fields, more than 100 runners over the course of the entries for this card. Some of the trials are really, really stronger than others, but nonetheless, there's a enjoyable way to get through this program and try to sort through exactly who's who. So in that case, first race action, interesting to see early on in the trial races on Sunday, some influences of the West Texas Derby at Sunland Park. In March. The winner of that race, Aggressive Driver, is number 3 in the first trial race. Aggressive Driver, trained by Blaine Wood now, is a winner of 5 of 9 starts. That one has a big chance to go for its 5th straight win here in the first trial. The selection is KJ Frankie B, who is number 9 in the race. KJ Frankie B, trained by Wes Giles, was second beaten a nose in the West Texas Derby, over 400 yards, and also won 2 races prior to that, a maiden race and a division of the trials for the West Texas Derby in January and February, going into this race, really good form. So the pick in the first trial, number 9, KJ Frankie B. So obviously with 11 trial races, all at 400 yards, the stopwatch is going to define the day outside of course, the number of winners we pick. But what's interesting about Ruidoso is how quickly the weather can change. Sitting up there at 7,000 feet, it could be rainy at lunchtime or very clear at 3 p.m. or more likely it's usually deteriorates a little bit sometimes during the day, and a rainstorm might come in for a period of time, maybe an hour. That might affect things. You usually might see some changes in the wind too, and that can affect the times for the runners. So over the course of the day, it's easy to keep pace with the charts as to how some of those trial races did change with weather or track condition. So going forward in the second race, the pick in this race is going to be number 6, Valiant Azteca, a lightly raced filly trained by Fred Danley. She won as 4th in the Rainbow Futurity last year. Hasn't run since the 6th in the La Fiesta Futurity at the Downs of Albuquerque back in September. She's a long shot at 15-1. There's always one on the program that has a little bit of appeal, and I think Valiant Azteca is a horse to pick in the race, in the second race. That's an alternative to number 9, Rat-a-tat-tat, who was 4th in the West Texas Derby, and also number 5, My Fast Prize, who is a maiden after 8 races, been 4th second time. One of those runner-up finishes came in a maiden race at Sunland Park back on March 15th. And back in September of last year, My Fast Prize was 5th in the All-American Futurity, 3 lengths behind Mr. Jess Jenkins. So full credentials to that horse, but Valiant Azteca is the alternative selection for that race. Going to the third race, this is a strong field. Uncle D, the winner of the Rainbow Futurity last year, and the champion 2-year-old gelding of 2000 and 19 is in this field. 2000, the champion 2-year-old colt, rather. Uncle D hasn't run since he won the consolation of the All-American Fraternity back on September 2nd on the All-American Juvenile. So Clinton Crawford's had him geared towards this comeback race here for a while. Good workout at Ruidoso, going 220 yards at 11.3 seconds on May 10th. So that was his only work at Ruidoso since the track opened on May 1st. So that's nice to see that he's had a little bit of activity over the track. Alternatively, Mr. Trace Points, who was a 400-yard maiden winner at Lone Star back in the spring, he's number 3. He's one to follow, too, in that race. We go to the 4th. BV She's Like the Wind, maybe one of the best bets of the day. BV She's Like the Wind, number 3 in this field, trained by Bubba Willis. She was second in the Ruidoso Fraternity last June and did not race again last year. Came back to finish third, beating a length and a half at 7-2 in the Mr. Masterbug Stakes at Remington Park, going 350 on April 18th. I think that was a good prep race to get her ready for these important trials at Ruidoso on Sunday. Dynasty, number 2, is a nice one. Wes Giles trains this 5th-place finisher from the West Texas Derby, who was winless in 3 starts at Ruidoso last year, but one of them was a second to determine one in the All-American Fraternity Trials, going 440. So good credentials there for Dynasty. But I think BV She's Like the Wind is the horse to follow. In the 5th race, Determined One is, in fact, going to be a short price favorite, one of the shorter price favorites of the day to win that division of the trials. Was second in the All-American Fraternity last year, and also was 4th in the Ed Burke Million Fraternity at Los Al earlier in 2019. So good credentials there. Rocket Sace was 3rd in the Rainbow Fraternity last year. That's number 4 in this field. But I think number 10, Determined One, looks like a very strong pick here in this 5th race. So the card really looks good in that regard. There's a couple of pick 3s through the program to keep your interest as well. And the 6th race starts a 50-cent pick 3. That in a race that is dominated by Jet Black Dynasty. Number 6 looks like a strong selection here. Maiden winner and a West Texas Derby trial winner, but did not run in the final. So that's a horse that has some attention. Also, number 1, KJ's Mucho Macho Man, was first in an allowance race on March 6th, going 350 yards at Sunland Park, and his only start of this calendar year. And I think that's going to be a good tightener to get KJ Mucho Macho Man ready for this Ruidoso Derby trial. He could go favorite in this field. Honorable mention to number 9, At Attention, who was a winner of the Ruidoso Fraternity trial a year ago at this time. So that horse also has some credentials to do something, perhaps hit the board. But the pick is Jet Black Dynasty, a slight choice over number 1, KJ Mucho Macho Man. And that's for race 6. So now we move into the 7th race. This is the start of the $1 pick 5 at Ruidoso, the final races of the card. Number 9, Y, is going to be just a wise guy selection in this field. This one won the Rainbow Juvenile Consolation and was second in an allowance race at Remington Park in April. Just a slight pick over a very logical runner called number 6, Hot Tempting, who was disqualified from second in the Rainbow Fraternity last year and came back to win a division of the West Texas Derby Trials a few months ago. That one is number 6, Hot Tempting, probably going to be favored at about 2-1, but look at number 9, Y, critically. I think you'll see what I'm talking about, in the sense this horse has won at Ruidoso going 400. He did have a good trial in the allowance race here, which was kind of a prep to get him ready for this, and I think that should be a good pattern. And he also, similar to some of the other runners we've mentioned, has had to work at Ruidoso this month to get ready too, so that's good there. Now, there's some really good trials in the 8th and 9th to look forward to the program here, and the 8th is a field that includes number 5, Smoking Volcom, who won a maiden race going 330 on a sealed and sloppy track at Remington on March 13th. And her first start of the year, she won by a neck at 5-1 in that race. It's been a productive race. Willie Big Bucks came back to win as well. That's going to be the slight pick over number 7, Little Miss Sachet, who has not started since a 4th place finish in the All-American Fraternity back in September. That one's probably going to be favored. Ricky Ramirez takes them out on that one. She was also 4th in the Rainbow Fraternity. So this filly has full ability, could easily win this race, but I like the way Smoking Volcom has had a recent start. And that way, I think I'll pick Smoking Volcom to beat number 9, Little Miss Sachet. Well, arguably the strongest trial of Sunday afternoon's races is the 9th race, the first leg of the late pick 3. This one includes Aviator, who was 8th in the All-American Fraternity. That's number 3. Number 6, a Lucky Ladies Man, who was third in the Golden State Million at Los Al back in November. Also, Good Candy B, who was sixth in the Ruidoso fraternity a year ago. And number 9, Elm Creek Chrome, who was ninth in the All-American. So a lot of depth, a lot of horses who are accomplished, all getting together for that race. So I'm going to go with number 6, a Lucky Ladies Man, who was third in the Golden State Million, as mentioned, trained by Michael Joyner. That one was second in a division of the Los Alamitos 2 million fraternity trials back in late November in its most recent start. But Joyner has a good record with horses coming off lengthy layoffs. Ricky Ramirez takes the mount. There's been a goal to get ready for this race for a while now. Even had a workout at Ruidoso, on May 8th. So some good clues there to expect that a Lucky's Lady Man, about 6-1 or so, might be a horse to pick. Well, let's focus on the last 2 races, and some good ones here too. Number 2 is Oatman Creek Senator, who was third in the Ruidoso fraternity last year. But the pick is number 10, Flying Famous Eagle, who drew well on the outside, should be okay. Ramirez rides for trainer Blaine Wood. This is a horse that was kind of a troubled 6th in a allowance race at Remington on April 9th. But keep in mind, this won the Hobbs America Fraternity on a $230,000 race going 400 yards back at Zia Park in October. So the distance is going to be a fit for Flying Famous Eagle, who does have a recent race, and also, more importantly, equally as important rather, is a workout going 220 at Ruidoso on May 7th. So there's some recency there in the right kind of way. Now, finally, the 11th race. Apolitical J. Wild drew the rail. That's number 1. That was third in the West Texas Derby. Salvador Soto is the new trainer of that gelding, who has only had 1 win in 8 starts. Look at number 6, Cartel Charlie, as a horse to consider strongly. Cartel Charlie, 6-1 on the line. John Steinbow trains this horse. 5th in the Ruidoso fraternity a year ago. Came back to run a good second against older horses in a 330-yard allowance at Remington on April 9th. And again, another horse who's had a workout at Ruidoso in the last few weeks, going 220 in 12.05 seconds on May 13th. Another positive sign there. And honorable mention to number 8, Battle Weary, third in the Texas Classic fraternity behind Trump My Record, the champion, 2-year-old. Last year, Battle Weary was beaten 2 lengths in that field, but also ran here at Ruidoso last year and had some good performances, and did win a 400-yard division of that Texas Classic fraternity last year as well. So the distance on this race should work well for this colt by Favorite Cartel. Good trials on Sunday at Ruidoso. Good depth to these races, as you'd expect for the start of the season, which goes through Labor Day weekend. And there's a lot to look forward to over the course of the season. As I mentioned a moment ago, this is the first year for the All-American Oaks. It's a 440-yard race for 3-year-old fillies on September 6th. And on July 19th, there's going to be a Rainbow Oaks at 400 yards. So there's going to be a little bit more major stakes action for quarter horses up at Ruidoso this year than there has been in past seasons. A very strong meeting gets even stronger. So lots to look forward to at Ruidoso, not only this weekend, but also going into the summer.